What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. What up, friends? Dallas Michael Sear bringing you the Transmission Master Life Guide, assisting those in transition, helping those who have a mission to bring that mission to fruition. How are you doing? I hope you're having a lovely, badass, bold, dynamic, epic evening, and thus a epic, badass, bold, frigging life. I want to talk to you a little bit about masterminds and creating the epic life of your dreams. Only 6 years ago, less than 6 years ago, man, were things challenging. and as I teach now, your challenges are your greatest gifts. But as I was living then, there was quite a bit of difficulty going on. And I want to present to you a couple of ideas as well as an opportunity to move through whatever it is that you may be facing that may be difficult. What up? What up, Al? And yeah, answer any questions that you may have. So as I was saying, just not so long ago, I was experiencing some obstacles in my life. Basically, what I was experiencing as my reality was very different than what I had imagined and dreamt and wanted for my life experience. And what I began to do was to put a sequence of principles in my life to work. In addition to putting those sequence to work in my life, I also, or those principles, I also began to put those principles into a particular sequence that works for me. And what's up? Boom. Saying hello to some folks. So as you come on, feel free to say hello. Tell me who you are. Tell me where you're at. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what your dreams and desires are. So let me get back to the point here first, so I don't ramble too much. But I have a tendency to ramble a bit. But hopefully you enjoy that as well. And so I've been very purposely and intentionally creating my life. And here's a few things that I've recognized. One, it's really important that we have a very clear and specific intention. And the power of intention cannot be underestimated. It is the enacting, not inaction, but the enacting of our will that sets the wheels in motion. And it's so very important for you to have a clear intention for how you want your life to look and feel, contextually, and have a context for your life. So in the past, when I noticed when I was struggling and experiencing this difficult time, the context for my life was pretty small. What it was that I was looking to experience and desire and what I wanted for myself was that big. And I noticed that it was a lot about me, you know, what I wanted to have, do, be, and experience. And it's an important part of the process. Yet it wasn't until I began to expand that vision beyond myself that a lot more unforeseen forces kind of came to support me. I stepped more deeply into the magic of creating my reality. And so I want to first challenge you to set for yourself a really clear intention. And it may seem simple, yet what I find is a lot of people are not operating from a place of having a very powerful intention and clear vision for the experience that they want. Second, even if you do have a clear vision, I want to challenge you right now, if you're not living the ideal life that you would like to be living, to question the intention, to look at it and say, is this truly what I'm desiring to experience? this thing that I say that I want, and this life that I want to live. Again, kind of going back to my own experience, what I recognized was early on, so much of what I was desiring to experience was coming out of a place of running from fear. It was this feeling that I wasn't enough, that things were difficult, and that I needed something outside of me to complete me. And so it was coming from a place of scarcity and lack, and it was coming from a place of wanting validation and wanting to feel valuable. And so I wanted these big things, and I began to have a larger vision for my life, because it gave me this feeling of feeling important, right? It gave me this feeling of feeling important versus tuning into what I really wanted to experience, and whether or not what I was desiring and working on creating was actually in alignment and coming from a deeper place within me. Also, did it encompass more than just me and my own needs and desires? The next thing that I had to do was begin to exercise my will. There's a certain level of boldness that it takes. So if you're in a place right now where you don't have a clear intention, and you're also not acting boldly and moving towards that intention, then it becomes very difficult to build enough power and momentum to set the wheels in motion, and to have that momentum begin to build where it starts to feel like a force and an energy pushing behind you and assisting you. It's going to feel like you. Think of it like an old school locomotive where someone's just shoveling coal into that engine, trying to spark enough fire and enough steam to get that moving, and the initial energy that it takes just to get it into motion. And it doesn't have to be hard. I no longer subscribe to the hustle and grind philosophy and mentality, yet it will take your intention as well as a fair amount of attention. So the other thing that I notice is that even for those who have this intention for their life and they feel like they're clear and aligned, the amount of actual energy and attention that they spend on it is so dispersed. It's like having this bucket with all these holes on it, and those holes are all the attention stealers, and the bucket is leaking. And it's people who are draining you of your energy and your attention, and who you allow to be distractions in your life. It's also, let's say the old, social media, the Instagrams and the Facebooks, not this, of course. This is this is completely empowering and completely in service and fully aligned, I can tell you. So, and so you have all of this noise and distraction that starts to steal your attention. I noticed that when I started to, let's say, take back or steal back my attention, that in the hours that I was placing on creating my dreams and my reality were so much more magnified. I created greater leverage in my life. So I set the intention, I began to act boldly, and I began to harness my attention and place it where I got the greatest leverage. And that seems like a really simple philosophy, yet, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child, right? And so I treat my dreams as my children. Right? I treat the intentions that I have, that the things that I'm creating, as children. They're just, I'm birthing them into the world, and they're going to take a lot of intention and attention, but they're also going to take support. It's also going to require, let's say, a village, so to speak. That's when I began to truly tap into the power of Mastermind. I remember there was this one time when I was beginning to make the transition from financial planner to life coach, life guide, life coach, business coach. Moment. Ah, my delicious peppermint tea. And I joined a mastermind. Now, I had been part of other masterminds as a financial planner, and the benefit was awesome. You know, there was networking, there was support, there were of course like-minded individuals, and one of the biggest things was of course accountability. Other individuals who you got to share your dreams and your visions with, who held you accountable, who assisted you in sustaining that vision that you have for yourself, and also being amazing mirrors. What's up, Nicholas? Welcome to the Facebook Live. And they got to assist you in sustaining this vision. So as I give birth to my ideas, it becomes important to have support, this village that I'm speaking of, that I can share these ideas with, right? That I can get immediate real-time feedback from. And to continue this feedback loop of having a clear, aligned intention, really feeling into, is this for me? And based on what I'm really wanting to create long-term in my vision, and then having that immediate feedback as I share it, where folks are like, you know, that seems like it would be a distraction, and are you sure you want to do that? And oh, I have an idea that if you did that, here's a way to up-level that and magnify it so that it gets 10x'd. And the value of that, it's absolutely priceless. It cannot be underestimated. So when I got into this networking group or this mastermind, it was just 6 individuals when I was still living in Connecticut, in fact, and making this transition. It was huge because there was this moment where I was making, you know, the transition to coach, and I shared something of value with another individual in the mastermind, and I felt so smart in saying it, and I think I might have quoted like Brian Tracy or Tony Robbins, and although I was sharing something that I felt at the time was truly relevant, and it may have been, what the person said to me that was so dramatic and valuable, and the timing was so perfect, hit me like a ton of bricks, was, "That's great, I appreciate that, Dallas, yet when are you going to quote yourself?" Right? And what they were looking for from me was true feedback and inspiration from my own life, my own words that I got to bring to the table. Now, that may sound like not that big of a deal, yet it hit me at the time so clearly that a lot of my energy was spent quoting other people and putting my attention on what other people were doing and using their words, their thoughts, what they had created to try and fuel and move what I was creating, versus really tapping into what was aligned and authentic for me. Now, I talk a lot about authentic expression, and I do so, you know, I've got multiple programs, one of them being Speak, Express, Impact, which is for coaches and entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who want to get their content out in a more effective, bold way on video and on stage, and to connect with the hearts and the minds of their audiences and really bring forth a power to their words, not just content and words. And self-expression becomes obvious in that space, right? Because it makes you stand out and it attracts an audience that you wouldn't normally, because now people can sense that there's something unique and different coming from you, and your ideal client perks up and says, "That's the voice I've been looking for." There's something inside of you that you may or may not be sharing right now that a certain audience is looking for, your audience. And so that was a massive turning point for me, a massive turning point. And what happens is when you do that, although I may have gotten to that same realization, who knows, a week later, a month later, a year, maybe a year later, I have no idea. Yet I'll never know if I would have ever gotten to that realization or truly embodied it as early on as I did. And the speed is what I really want to emphasize. The magnification and the momentum that gets created when you have that outside reflection that gets the real time, put that experience in your face and say, that's great. What about what's right for you? And when are you going to share your voice and so forth? So little things like that, if you compound them inside of a mastermind that you're a part of for, let's say a 3-month mastermind, a 6-month mastermind, or whatever, the time is irrelevant. But if you compound those little things, the value that it can bring and the ROI, to your bottom line, to what you're wanting to create and experience in your life is just, there's really no true way to quantify it. All I can say is it's massive, priceless, and not to be underestimated. So my intention, my attention, my boldness combined with this environment that I was planted in so that I could grow rapid time and 10x my results and my experience, that was just key ingredients in the formula of turning my life around. And now, very honestly, I had this moment today. I actually shared it. I'll share it again here. If you're reading these comments, I'll share it right here. I had this moment today where I'm watching the sunset just very recently, and it dawned on me, from the quality and context of my relationships to the context, the larger, greater context that I have for my life. And what I believe now, what I know now is possible, is beginning to meet and exceed in many areas of my life the dreams that I had less than 5 years ago. And what an amazing realization to have, to both anchor in the value of what I've been living and teaching, as well as to wake me up to the fact, well, what else is possible? What the fuck is next, right? Like now it's time to even expand that vision that seemed almost out of reach at the time, that's now completely in reach and is my reality. Now it's time to do that again. And those principles that I shared with you are absolutely foundational. So if you're watching and you've got a comment or question, please feel free to chime in. The other thing I wanted to say about self-expression and living this authenticity, which speeds up what you experience. Like, you cannot, I don't like the negatives, but it's very challenging to, and I believe damn near impossible, to truly live the life that you're envisioning and dreaming for yourself, even when it is in alignment, if you're not sharing your full, authentic expression of who you are, what you're desiring, and what you get to bring to the world. And so I talk about authentic self-expression, and sometimes that can seem very intangible and maybe not make sense if you're in the widget business, right? Or I've got friends who are building solar companies and CBD companies, and it's like, well, how does that apply? Living your authentic self and being fully self-expressed and being expressive is absolutely foundational to every aspect of your life. Every aspect of your life. There's so many people that I coach who lose a sense of themselves when they get into a relationship. And then that will absolutely ripple out to how they show up in their chosen careers or businesses. So authentic self-expression is absolutely another key to that formula and that foundation to living the life that you now are dreaming and imagining. It's not a bonus thing. It is absolutely foundational and a massive priority if you and your business is going to stand out from the crowd, if you're going to stand out as a leader in your business, as the marketer, as the CEO, as the creator, if you are going to feel genuinely empowered and fulfilled by what you're doing, authentic self-expression, and really knowing who the fuck you are and what your unique true essence is foundational, period. It must begin to come through you in a very powerful way, if you're going to live a life that feels fulfilling. The vehicle and the thing that you do is secondary. It's not as important, because no matter what you do or the impact that it has, if you're not sharing the true you in it, then eventually it's going to leave you wanting. You'll automatically at some point notice this feeling and experience like something is missing. And that's why I feel I just know that a big part of my work, whether I'm working in one of my signature programs, which is igniting your purpose, my coaching brand as a whole, as an umbrella, is Ignite Purpose. So whether I'm taking people through the sequence, the process of igniting your purpose, which is one program, or Speak, Express, Impact, which is another program, either way, having them tap into what their soul's divine purpose is. To wake up and feel alive and connected and feel authentic and fully expressed in fucking everything you do is primary, and it's one of my true gifts, because I can see so pointed, so laser, and so clear when someone is not doing that. And then I can very clearly see, after 8 years of doing this work on first myself, living and breathing this, in addition to working with clients and having the results, I can see the things that are in the way, the layers, the patterns, the conditions, the beliefs, the habits, from having that true you come through. The fears that say, well, if I do that, then what if this happens? Or if I do that, I won't be received or accepted. Or if I do that, holy shit, a whole new level of me is now out there in the public, and now there's a whole new level of me that will be expected. There's a whole new level of me that will be looking for and holding me accountable to, and that while it feels big and overwhelming and scary and it feels like a lot of responsibility, so people get stuck in sharing their light, because doing so feels like it can feel, if you're not connected to it in the right way and have the correct understanding to it, it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like a responsibility that maybe you think you're not ready for. And so I just want to encourage you to get really, really clear on what your intention is and what's truly in alignment for you. You know, there's a great book out there, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. You know, I often assist my clients in moving from this achievement model, this carrot at the end of the stick model, where it's like goal focus, I gotta win and hit this goal, and I want this income and this experience, moving from that and moving to a greater context for their life, right? Like, what is it that you would desire? Not what seems to make sense or would sound good or would feel safe or be responsible. And so a lot of my work is assisting clients in tearing down their past experience and this current container that they have for their life that's like this big, right? And switching their old operating system, because so many systems out there. Hey Stacy, what's up? Welcome. So so many systems out there say, hey, do this new thing, try on this new thing, and yet it's like putting this new iPhone app, this new iPhone 6 application onto an old iPhone 1 operating system, and there's just not enough bandwidth, right? There's not enough space for the download. It doesn't stay. It's not sustainable. So we're often trying to beat ourselves into submission, beat these habits into ourselves. It takes 21 days to change a habit, 60 days to change a habit, and I say it can be fucking immediate. The degree to which you breathe, receive, accept without resistance, and then move towards it and embrace and embody it, and then breathe and accept and move towards it and embody it. The degree and speed to which you do that is the degree and speed to which you shift a habit. It can take you 1 day, 21 days, fucking 5 years. You know, when I used to smoke cigarettes, and I wanted to quit smoking cigarettes, it took me 7 years to quit, start again, quit, start again, quit, start again. I kept trying to beat the old habit out of myself, and I made it hard. And I remember the day that I decided not to smoke anymore, and it was really like it finally became like this immediate overnight choice. I was just done. I just decided I was done. At that time, I didn't realize and resource what had just happened and apply it to every area of my life. Something that I now encourage you to do and want you to take a look at. Like, what are those things that may have seemed like anomalies that you can resource and say, wow, that's amazing. How does this apply to other areas of my life? And begin to use like a compounding effect to speed up your transformation and those shifts. So this has been Dallas Michael Sear. I want to, I want to just close with this truth, that really the life that you're imagining for yourself is so much closer. Actually, I've got a couple things I'll share with you. One, the life that you're imagining for yourself is so much closer than you realize, and it's easier to live it and experience it now than you may realize. The question is that, do you believe it's possible, and to what degree do you have that belief? And do you believe that you're deserving and ready, and to what degree do you have that belief? Those are two very important factors. And if you bring that back to the beginning of having that intention, that very clear intention, like I began along this journey to have a very clear intention for the feeling and the context and the texture that I wanted my life to have. Even more so than the specifics of like live here, make this much money, and go travel there and do these things. It was like I wanted to feel this. I wanted to feel expansive, abundant. I wanted to feel like I was contributing and being in service. I wanted to feel solid, empowered, expressed, open, and just, like me. I wanted to feel like me. This me that I knew that was burgeoning and wanted to be birthed into the world, versus this me that I felt I had to share to feel safe, or to go along with the things that I had been, the person I was saying that I was. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, it's like, it's like your personality creates your reality. So I had to begin to shift my personality and what I thought was possible, and get a very clear intention for what my life was what my life could look like, what it got to look like. And then I began to shift the amount of attention that I was putting on that, and really making better use of my time and my priority, and really, hey, tech issues, but I'm here now. Oh, tech issues on your side or mine? Am I having tech issues? So really, and beginning to be more congruent in how I was showing up, and putting more attention on what it was I wanted to cultivate, so that there could be this magnification, this multiplication, and this momentum, right? And then to act more boldly. And yeah, absolutely, there was still fear there, yet it was really about resourcing a certain level of courage that could meet or exceed that fear, and just keep taking those micro steps in faith. And one of the biggest things that assisted me in doing that, oh, mine. Okay, good. Thanks, Stacy. And one of the big things that assisted me in doing that was having that mastermind, that container. And then from that point on, continuing that feedback loop and continuing that process. So I'm actually starting a mastermind group. I already have a couple individuals, so there's 3 spots left. It's going to be for 5 very special individuals. So if you feel like you could be one of those 5 individuals that learns these principles and so much more, and then gets the support and gets the accountability and gets the tools and the resources to learn how to wipe that old operating system that you're operating from completely clean, embody and implement and download that new operating system, and also to start using the unforeseen forces that are around you that you have no idea. There's so many elements that are available to support you in this process. So if you want to learn what those things are, those principles and those forces, so that they become this new level of alchemy to alchemize the vision that you have, and then also to test things out and get that real-time feedback from someone who's been there, done that multiple times, and assisted many people through it, and get the value and that collective mind from the group, from the mastermind. If you're someone who is in a corporate situation, you're wanting to transfer either into a whole new line of career that you're not yet clear to or ready to make the leap in, or you want to feel like you're having more of your self being utilized and awakened, more of your potentials being tapped in the work that you're doing, or if you're wanting to create a business or bring a business to life, it's something you've been doing for a few years and it's just not getting the traction, right? So essentially you're in those earlier stages, then that's my wheelhouse, and I want to assist you in that place, so that way you don't have to spend all of the time, the money and energy and be like the window that's open while you're blasting the heat, and it's just all the heat's going out. It's not being contained in order to propel you further and faster in a way that is sustainable, and that you know is possible, or that you can sense and kind of feel is possible, and you're not tapping into that right now. So if you're in those early stages of bringing a vision to life and transitioning to what is next, where you feel more alive, more expressed, more of your potential is being used, and you're not just going through these rote motions, then let's talk. If you're starting this idea that you're ready to give birth to in the world and make an impact, right? Really make an impact in a bigger ripple, and you're ready to step into that now, let's talk. If you've been working at something for years and it just does not seem to get the traction, let's talk. I would love to get on the phone with you and see if this mastermind is perfect and right for you, and then have you jump in and get one of those slots that's available. I have already one person in, so I have one person and I have one person I'm speaking to, I'm pretty sure about. So there's potentially 4 to 3 slots, and it's going to be a very, very closely held group. We're going to go deep. There's going to be some one-on-one touch with me directly. There's going to be the group container, and we're going to go really deep and work directly with you for whatever it is that you're wanting to create over the next 6 months. It's a 6-month long process, and technically, really, if you're getting something off the ground, it may be longer, but we want to try and cut that time in half and get as much momentum, traction right off the gate. My intention when I'm working with individuals is to get very, very clear on what they want to create, why, and what's in the way, and move towards that vision cleanly, clearly aligned as possible, with ease and with grace. It doesn't have to be hard and you beating your head against the wall. And then ideally, what I've experienced is when I start coaching, the level of coachability and willingness of the person determines, of course, the speed and momentum overall. And my experience is those people who are all in and really connected, they end up making the investment, immediately, but long before our work together is done, and it's usually a high multiplication factor, period, the end. And so I want to help you to do that. So let's get on the phone if you're open and curious, and I would love to chat with you. So that's the Ignite Purpose Mastermind. So I'll put a link when this transmission is done below, so that you can click on the application and fill out an application if you're interested in getting the phone with me. What'll happen is you fill out the application. Of course, based on the way you answer these questions is going to be based on whether or not if it makes sense to even get on the phone. But either way, what I want to say is go through the process for yourself. In my past experience, a lot of times, even if it was something I moved forward with or not, just filling out the application and taking that step forward somehow moved energy for me and really made me look at what I wanted to create from a whole new vantage point. And it made me claim things and say things and put them in writing that I was only before imagining, and it created energy right off the bat. So fill out the application if you feel moved, and because it's a there's limited space, really put a lot of heart and attention and thought into it. Make an effort. And whenever I see that, I will get on the phone with you every time. If you are sincere, genuine, and you really put your energy and time into it, I will get on the phone with you every time. I still have, I specifically set time aside for that. That is my model. That is my choice. It's the way I want to connect, and I love doing it with people who are very serious about putting something powerful and beautiful in the world, and are very connected to their dreams and their visions, and ready to act. So let's get on the phone, and then from there it'll just be a simple process of you know, getting you locked in and moving forward before those slots are gone. So I don't put out a lot of invitations, and oftentimes they're months apart. So stop putting your life and your dreams on hold. Stop putting the vision that's already coming through you, that you know is like gnawing at you, on hold longer. You know, as they say, that there's nobody that's adding someday to the calendar. You know, don't wait for the summertime when you feel a little bit better, or starting next year. The year's halfway over. Are you where you want to be? Have you created what you said you wanted, or were feeling or intending for your life at the beginning of the year? If not, let's get on the phone. Don't wait any longer. You don't have to. And I would love to see you, support you, speak to you, and be of assistance and service, helping you really connect to your soul's divine purpose. That is absolutely my gift, my power, my purpose, one of my master purposes here on the planet. So, Dallas Michael Sear, sending you all love, reminding you to ignite your purpose. It is up to you. You can do it. Comes from within. I am just the guide. I do not do it for you. No coach does. So ignite your purpose. Live your passion. Love your life. The transmission